Exploring career paths and opportunities, enlightening students by helping them develop essential skills, and connecting them to the professional world. We bridge the gap between undergraduates and their future careers. We are UP CAPES, unparalleled commitment, agility, professionalism, excellence, and service since 1991.
Achieving a vision involves consistent little efforts. Planning out our objectives, focusing on the process. We lay down the groundwork, and maybe we reap rewards. However, while there are many paths to greatness, we shouldn't limit ourselves to taking just one route. Small steps matter. And with guidance, you'll be one step closer to achieving your dream.
This event wouldn't be possible without our company partners. Career Development Month 2020 is co-presented by UP CAPES and Encompass, in partnership with Accenture, Analog Devices, JPMorgan Chase Company, Maxim Integrated, Mondele Philippines, Nestle Philippines, Texas Instruments Philippines Incorporated, and Unilever Philippines.
London. Rise and shine, Shanghai. What's up, Mumbai? New York, New York. Get out of bed. Greet the day. It's time to make a difference. Forge ahead with new ideas and work together. You'll dream bigger. After all, you're an artist, an athlete, a tech enthusiast, a role model. Remember, your differences make us stronger, make us smarter, more innovative. It's in our culture at JPMorgan Chase, our DNA. Every career is designed with you in mind, to make an impact, to lead. Extremely impactful. Because the chance of a lifetime is all in a day's work. And when the day is done, you refresh, fuel, and get ready for tomorrow. So good night, Rome. Sleep tight, Sydney. Sweet dreams, Tokyo. We'll see you in the morning.
We are the makers and bakers of Mondele International, the world's leader in global snacking. Our future has never been brighter, tastier, healthier, sweeter, crunchier, or bolder. We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with fresh questions, ideas, and perspectives. We are ready to disrupt.
It's our mission to lead the future of snacking around the world by offering the right snack for the right moment, made the right way. We are snacking made right.
This opens up exciting possibilities, because if you make it with us, you make it with pride.
You'll work with brands that people fall in love with. They remind us of our childhood, the warmth, the delight, the memories.
We are constantly innovating for the future. As our world and tastes change, so do we. With us, you make it uniquely yours, because we want you, just as you are, leaning in, speaking up, and challenging your limits.
With us, you make it a better world. Being global isn't about being big. It's about being part of something bigger than yourself.
A place where the world is yours to protect as well as enjoy. A place where days are filled with different voices, different possibilities, different cultures, but driven by the same shared purpose, empowering people to snack right.
With us, you make it happen.
We're hungry to seize every opportunity and stretch towards new challenges, loving what we do, but not taking ourselves too seriously.
With us, you'll have the space to make a difference, to do more, learn more, and grow more.
Make it with pride.
Make it uniquely yours.
Make it a better world.
Make it happen.
Make it with Mondele International. Snacking made right. Every day, we are changing the world. We are dreamers. And we are doers. We pride ourselves on perfecting the small. Our 30,000 employees design, manufacture, test, and sell tens of thousands of products, tiny electronic chips that are key ingredients in things you experience every day. Look around you. We are there. From connected cars to intelligent homes, from self-monitoring health devices to automated factories. Our technologies are adding intelligence to every type of electronic system, making them safer, smarter, and more efficient. With our global sales team of engineers, our website with deep technical resources, our broad portfolio of products, and our investments in our own advanced manufacturing, we have a unique approach to helping our customers make their design dreams a reality. And along the way, we remain true to our deeply rooted values of integrity, innovation, and commitment. Wherever our ingenuity shines, new possibilities emerge. Chip by chip, design by design. At TI, we are creating world-changing technologies every day, and we can't wait for tomorrow.
almost 100 years, Unilever has grown with the Filipino people. Unilever is more than just a brand. It is in our homes, it is in our lives. Unilever is Filipino. A company that served generations. A heritage built on sama-sama, tulong-tulong, and malasakit.
With our products present in 9 out of 10 Filipino homes, we transform the lives of almost every Filipino. And in serving them well, the Filipinos have trusted us, growing our business from our humble beginnings to now being one of the strongest Unilever companies in the world.
So for us to be the company that serves every Filipino in the next decade, Unilever Philippines will embark on a transformation guided by our one big ambition. At the heart of this transformation will be delivering the purpose of every Unilever brand and every Unilever employee.
My personal purpose is to bring out the confidence of people around me. That's why I make time to fulfill this purpose also outside of work. I'm so happy that Unilever allows me to work on a brand that also brings out confidence in people.
I'm very lucky that I'm working with a brand that is very responsible. Everything that you do not only benefits yourself, but has a huge impact on the people that you serve.
We will champion a sustainable supply chain enabled by technology to ensure that we deliver high-quality products that is accessible to all and does not cost the earth.
Our purpose-driven brands, our purpose-driven people, our inclusive business models, and our progressive platforms will be the foundations that will allow us to live our purpose of improving the lives of 100 million Filipinos.
A society with no stereotypes.
Growing a new generation of self-assured and empowered women.
A zero-waste Philippines.
This is my purpose too. Managing supply chain goes beyond running efficient factories. It's about creating opportunities for growth.
For us, it is also about supplying products that are safe for our consumers and for us to produce them at best quality, available anytime and anywhere, and the best value for money.
Making high-quality, affordable products available on time, every time.
Creating value for sustainable, profitable growth.
Creating leaders for today and the future.
Ang purpose ko ay mas makatulong pa sa mas maraming sari-sari store.
Bawat isang tindahan, isang kabuhayan.
Bringing superior science to everyday life.
This is what I will do for the Philippines. This is what I will do as a Filipino.
This purpose
is mine too.
This purpose is mine too.
This purpose
is mine too.
This purpose is mine too.
This purpose is mine too.
Our work isn't done until we serve 100 million Filipinos from all walks of life. Join me in this movement for a bigger, better Unilever and a better Philippines.
Ma, di ako makatulog.
Lika anak, may kwento ko sa'yo. Isang araw, tumigil ang mundo. At nagsitago ang mga tao sa kanilang mga bahay. Ngunit nagsimula ang tulungan at napawi ang pangamba. Nakita nila na mayroong pag-asa. Dahil ang bawat isa ay nagpakita ng malasakit.
Malasakit?
Ang malasakit ay ang lubos na pagpapahalaga sa kapwa na napuputok sa iyo na kumilos sa tumulong. Malasakit para sa kalusugan ng bawat isa. Malasakit para sa kabuhayan ng bawat Pilipino. At malasakit para sa lahat. Pero di dito nagtatapos ang kwento. Sa bawat malasakit na naranasan, naipadama pa siya sa iba. Sa malinis na pangangatawan, sa ligtas na tahanan, at sa sarap ng kainan. Pagtuloy-tuloy ang malasakit, tuloy-tuloy ang pag-asa. Ito ang ating kwento. Kwentong totoo at nagsisimula ito sa'yo.
Kahit ako?
Oo.
Hi everyone, I'm Doreen and I'll be your host for today. Welcome to Career Development Month 2020. Hello to our YouTube viewers. This is the first time UP Capes is holding this event. For the month of November, we will be having different initiatives to equip engineering students for their future careers. Please stick around because we have so much in store for you today. This week's talks are all about getting set with job hunting essentials. Through Career Development Month, we can all prepare for our careers through the practical guides and tools needed to successfully apply for a job. And today, we will be learning about Interview 101. But before we start, I'd like all of us to look back when UP Capes launched its year-long campaign last September. Small but consistent efforts are essential to any career development journey. Career Development Month is one such step that can help you gain relevant career skills, ultimately taking you one step closer to your dream career. All right, I'm sure everyone here is so excited to hear the talk. Let us now introduce our speakers for today. Ms. Angelica Louise Amik is currently the Talent Advisory Lead of Unilever Philippines. She leads strategic talent acquisition meetings with managers and HR business partners. Being a talent advisory herself, she's now the talent lead for the whole country and it is directly managing talent advisors. Ms. Amik is indeed an experienced recruitment advisor, evident from her skills in strategic sourcing, recruiting, and interviewing. Mr. Lance Gernale is currently the talent advisor of Unilever Philippines for Unilever Global Services, Unilever Future Leaders Program, and Unilever Leadership Internship Program. He has handled multiple recruitment programs involving internships and management training. Indeed, an expert in the field of human resource, Mr. Gernale has a lot of insider tips and techniques to share about proper interview etiquettes. Let us all welcome our speakers to tell us all about interviews.
Hi. Good afternoon,
Good
Doreen. Hi,
afternoon po.
Lance.
Hi, Angel. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Right, let's get into it. Let me share my screen to kick things off. But before
Yeah.
we do kick things off, I would uh, like to hope everyone is doing okay. We've been through a lot, a recent typhoon, and then a pandemic still ongoing. So I hope everyone is safe and sound. Hopefully, everyone is okay. And thank you all as well for tuning in with us for this learning with you from the Unilever Talent Advisory Team.
Yeah. So, Lance is actually in the plant. That's why bihis na bihis siya. And I'm just home, hence my very Christmassy background. Okay. I think let's just put the slides on full screen. Let me do that. Okay. Yep, I can see it. So Lance will kick us off. So I'm sure he has a lot of things to share with us. So, but before anything else, thank you so much for giving a slot this afternoon. And sabi nga ni Lance, I hope everyone is doing well despite this year being a very weird year. Yeah, off to you, Lance.
All right.
Thank you. So to kick things off, let's call this one How to Ace Your Interview and Get Hired. Right. So for this talk that Angel and I will be doing, we'll specifically divide it into three. So let's talk about first what you need to do before an interview, what you need to do or what are the questions asked during an interview, and what you should do after an interview. We'll also showcase some example questions that are usually asked during an interview. All right. So before an interview, the most important part of it is number one is always to research about the company and the role that you are interested in. Companies are very visible right now in different social media pages. They all have their websites like us. We have our own website, that's Unilever Careers. We also have our Facebook. We also have Instagram. So companies are very actively visible throughout the social media pages. So please be sure to research about the company before going to an interview. Learn about the nature of the company, what are they into, what are the products, what are the brands, and etc. All right. And then again, as I've mentioned, check out the company's social media pages. We do have it's Unilever Careers for us, so do check it out. All right. And then try to talk to someone who already works there. So I'm sure a lot of UP alumni are within our company. So do reach out to them, ask about how it's like working for Unilever, ask about maybe they know what this role is about. So at least you can get more in-depth experience, I guess, on what the role you are applying for. All right. And then another important thing is to research what kind of skills are required. Well, actually, this is usually posted in the job description prior to applying. So please be sure to review if you have the necessary skills that are required for this one. All right. And then, if possible, of course, ask who will your interviewers be. So, I think a tip from me from this one is you can also search out your interviewers in LinkedIn. So, get to know what they do, how long they've been in the company, and what are their interests. Malay nyo, baka may same group na pala kayo na member, di ba? There's a common interest already. So, that will help a long way. All right? Okay. So that's about the researching part. So number two, alam kong mahirap kasi traffic sa Pilipinas, but please, please be on time. So at least 10 minutes before your schedule, please arrive at your interview venue. So mahirap din naman kasi 'di ba? Kung pagdating mo doon late ka na nagmamadali ka, it can catch you off guard. So baka yung pinaghirapan mo i-prepare na spiel or the research that you've done for the night or maybe days prior, baka mawala lang kasi nataranta ka dahil na late ka sa interview, right? So please arrive on time. And then given na traffic na rin naman dito sa country natin, so expect traffic. So yes, please again, just emphasizing no, please arrive at least 10 minutes before your schedule. Right?
I'd land siguro if it's not since nasa bahay pa din naman tayo and if your interview is online, so try to test out your internet connection. If you know that your internet connection is a bit bad, always have a backup plan or inform your interviewer that you might be cut off at any point in your conversation, and try to log in siguro like 5 to 10 minutes as well before, just to test out if your camera is working, if your mic is working, not that when your interview has already started, tapos you're just going to fix it right then and there. So better that once you log on, everything should be ready. Yep.
Right. Thanks Angel for sharing that for the virtual side. So yep, at least prepare test your camera, your internet. We all know na bigla-biglaan din nawawala na internet. So expect the worst, I guess, but prepare as well. So prepare a backup always for that one. And yep, I would agree with Angel as well. If there is really internet difficulties, just inform your interviewer ahead of time. So maybe we can do a reschedule or we can find something to work out. Right? And then ask the company contact person if there are safety briefings prior to the meeting. So I guess this one would be more applicable in a face-to-face interview setting. But in terms of a virtual interview, not much on this one. But yes, at least just to tackle on this one, like with us in Unilever, we do have a 10-minute safety briefing prior to entering the premises. So if you arrive hence we ask you to arrive at least 10 minutes. So that is to cover the safety briefing. All right. And then also bring a copy of your resume or CV just in case. So we do have online copies already. So once you apply, you submit your resume online naman. So, but just in case and kinailangan, I guess, or hingiin, let's say, so just bring a copy of your CV. All right. Okay, so that's for number 2. For number 3, let's go to this one. So dress appropriately. So research about the company's dress code if possible. So just to share at Unilever, in our office setting, we're more of a smart casual or casual pa nga. So not really formal naman sa Unilever. So dito I guess baliktad. Pag naka-dress up ka talaga, magugulat yung mga tao naman sa'yo. So, yep, baliktad naman dito. So, and then don't go overboard. And then siguro, let's share it on a virtual setting naman, no, since interviews are more likely to happen in a virtual setting nowadays than a face to face. So wag naman sana yung pambahay na as in old shirt na, no. So something nice naman, a regular shirt will do, but something nice. And then for the guys, I guess wag naman yung sando or ano, shirt will do. So yep. uh I leave it to your judgment on how you dress, but again, the key here is dress appropriately.
Yeah, don't follow the woke up like this trend. Again, this is still an interview. This is still a
Yes.
formal conversation. So, try to dress appropriately and just be ready for the whole conversation. Yeah.
Right. So that's what you need to do before an interview. So let's go to the during an interview. All right. So what should you expect during an interview? All right. So number 1 is to relax. Think about it as just having a conversation. So I guess interview nowadays varying siya, to be honest, no. There are interviews that are very strict, as in very formal type, and there are those who interview in a very casual and conversation type of way. But regardless, just do think of it as having a conversation. So just talking about someone, about what you've experienced, about what you've done so far. So just do share it on how you want it to. All right? Just again, relax. Mahirap pag kinakabahan, nawawala sa sarili. So just relax, all right? Number 2 is always be courteous and polite. All right, greet everyone you will meet. So the guards that you meet in the building, any personnel, just say hi to them, just take a smile, and then once you meet your interviewer, smile then. All right, just greet your interviewer, good morning, good afternoon will do, and then a smile. It really helps a long way. All right. And then number 3, shake hands. So, okay, sige. So, for this one, this is pre-COVID. This is the pre-pandemic. So, shake hands leaves a good impression. But ngayon, so, iwas tayo sa shake hands muna. And then, likewise, for a virtual interview setting naman most likely. So, just do wave at your interviewer, say hi. And then do follow with a greeting, all right? And then even if a face-to-face interview, so no shake hands muna. So, iwas muna tayo dyan. Right? Number 4 is always speak clearly and maintain eye contact. Right? So don't ramble on your words. Maintain eye contact. Just look at your interviewer. Hindi yung when your interviewer is asking you, you look left, right, or you look around. So very honestly very distracting siya, especially on a face-to-face interview. So talagang napapansin siya. So just maintain eye contact. Again, pasok ulit natin yung number 1 dito. Just relax and maintain eye contact. All right? Speak again, would like to emphasize and speak clearly, no? For the virtual ones, I think, of course, internet connections may be a problem. So, if ever the line got a bit choppy, so just repeat it na lang din. All right? Okay, number 5, be self-aware. How? So know the content of your resume or your CV. Again, ikaw naman nagsulat neto. These are your experiences. So I think one thing that can help you remember what you've placed in your resume is while writing down your resume, remember and reflect on the things that you've done. So let's say, why did you take up this? So let's say, course mo. Let's say, example, chemical engineering. So reflect on it. Why nga ba ako nag-chemical engineering, di ba? So just look back on it, and then while you write your experiences as well, let's say your internship experience or any organization activities or any org positions that you've involved with in school. So just reflect back on it lang din. So how did I do during that internship? So why did I decided to join for this organization? So what is the position about? So just look back lang din as you write your resume. That way it can also help you remember the contents of your resume. All right. And number six, prepare questions for your interviewers. All right. So we do like when our candidates do ask us questions after an interview. So tip no, ang gusto kong tinatanong talaga sa akin na question is what is it like working for Unilever? Yan. Favorite question ko yan. And then but yep. So it shows interest that you are very interested for the role or for the company. So maybe you can also ask about what is it like in the role. So can you give me an overview of how the role works? So most likely your recruiter or your interviewer naman will give you a summary of how the role works. So yan, I think for my recommendation on questions, yan yung top two na pwede niyong i-ask. Angel, baka meron ka rin dyan na gustong i-share for questions that they may ask their interviewers.
Is that your cue for me to go to the next slide? Or are you asking me to,
Hindi. Add ka lang.
actually give
Add
you
ka. May part pa ako. But yep, sige.
Yeah.
May next part pa naman. But sige, let me share
We
something.
can take on that later.
Okay. Sige. So yep, again, Angel will be sharing what type of questions that you can ask during an interview. But before we go through that, let me go to this part last. Yan. STAR. Situation, task, action, and result. I'm sure you might have heard of this. So it's an interview technique, actually, it's an interview style. It's called STAR. Again, it's situation, task, action, and result. So usually these are the type of questions that recruiters or interviewers ask during an interview. So let me give an example. No? So sa situation, think of a situation that you're in. A perfect example for this one would be during an internship. What were the projects that you've handled during your internship? What was your role during your internship? All right? So just describe the situation, no? Wala yung R. Ayan. Okay. Sige, bumalik si R. So, ayun, just describe the situation you were in or what type of role you are doing. And then let's proceed to the letter T, which is task. So, describe the task that you had to do. So, let's say on this certain project, you have to get the sign off of other let's say other functions. So let's say you're in the supply chain function, but for this certain project you have to get the sign off from HR or perhaps let's say even from marketing. So describe the task you had to do, highlight challenges, constraints, deadlines, and issues that you face along the way. All right. And then for the letter A, action. So what happened? So now you have the situation. Now you have the task. You know what you need to do. What is the action then you need to do? All right. To reach that certain goal. Okay. So describe the action you took. This on this part naman for action, you can highlight teamwork, leadership, initiative, integrity, etc. So just highlight the actions that you've done and perhaps what else that did you do to be able to reach that next up is the R, which is result. All right. So after you've identified the situation, you've identified the task, and then you identified the actions that you needed to take. So what was then the outcome after you've done all these three steps? So on the results part, describe the outcome of your actions. Number one, highlight is the achievements. Okay. So what were the achievements after your project? After your, let's say, 2-month internship, what were your achievements? What do you think needs improvement on? Is there something ba during that certain project or internship where perhaps they've mentioned that you need to improve on, or may napansin ka ba sa sarili mo something that you need to improve on? And then if applicable, highlight cost savings as well. All right. So basically that's it for the STAR type of interview. So again, that's situation, task, action, and result. All right. Now that we've covered the before and the during, let's cover naman what's next. Ayan, let's cover the usual interview questions. I give the floor now to Angel. Hello, madam.
Salamat last. Madam. Thank you, Lan. So just for everyone who's watching or who's listening. So when I joined Unilever, Lance and I were 2 weeks apart. right? Like when you joined, I joined as well. So like we joined the company at the same time. So we've been working together ever since. Ayan. So thanks Lance for walking us through basically how you prepare for an interview, you know what to expect and how you should answer your questions. So you always have to keep in mind the STAR acronym. Okay, but of course, Lance and I are seasoned recruiters, so we've been doing interviews for quite some time. And there are oops, sorry, can you go back to the other slide? Okay, so there are a few questions that you might hear when a recruiter or a line manager talks to you. So I'll go through it one by one. So there are only like 10 main questions on the screen, and I can give you a bit of an idea as to why we actually ask these questions. So we don't ask questions just because we want like to stretch the meeting. So there's really more of a purpose as to why we ask the question. So number one is tell me something about yourself. So it's super common, believe me. So when you Google like what are the interview questions, so for sure tell me something about yourself will come up. So what we suggest here is, don't highlight whatever is already on your resume. So if you say like, oh, I'm a mechanical engineering graduate, don't revolve your answer around that. So for instance, the reason why we ask you about this question is because we want to get to know you more as a person, right? So if I would introduce myself like, hey, my name is Angel. I work for this company and this company. Aside from that, I'm also a wife and a mom of a little boy, etc., etc. So just put a bit more, I guess, personal side to it. Don't kwento naman your whole life story, but I guess just share like who you are as a person aside from what's on the paper already. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Second is what do you know so far about the role or the organization? So Lance mentioned that you should prep for the interview. Like you should read up on the company. You should know what products or brands that we carry, and be careful not to mention any competitor brands if meron man that's on your mind. So I guess that's one thing to keep in mind. It just shows us that you're prepared when you join the interview and you know really why you're interested aside from it being a big organization. Like when you say Unilever, wow, it's Unilever. But aside from that, like why? What do you know about us? Do you know any of our mission or vision? Like what do we stand for as an organization, right? And if you didn't find any of those online, then feel free to also ask this to whoever is interviewing you, right? So third is why are you interested in the FMCG industry? So you guys are from UP Capes. So I mean, it's a good school, it's a good course that you're in, but you also need to know like why nga ba FMCG? Because there are a whole lot of industries that you can get into, right? You may go to telco, or some of you might even want to go to a finance industry, but why the FMCG industry? So of course, we know that FMCGs are a bit more maingay online, like with employer branding stuff and etc. But there has to be more to that, right? So just think about it. Like if you're not sure yet as to why you want to join an FMCG company, then that's something for you to think about. Okay, so it also shows us that you also know why you want to join, what's really in it for you, aside from I guess having a job and having income, but like what else, right? Fourth is what kind of job do you see yourself doing? So again, coming into the interview or coming into any sort of conversation with a probable employer, you need to already know yourself a bit. Like, do you see yourself doing a desk job? Are you interviewing for a desk job, or are you interviewing for, let's say, a sales role, but you don't want to go on rota? I mean, you don't want to go around and visit many visitors, or many customers. Sorry. So that's also one thing that you have to think about. Like, what kind of job do you think you're good at, or what can you do, or what are you willing to explore? So you also need to have that level of self-awareness as well. So fifth is what skills do you have that's a good fit for this role? So for instance, I've already mentioned about self-awareness, right? So we always ask that question, like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So it's aside from telling me something about yourself, that's also one of the biggest questions that you can hear. But it's also nice to see and talk to someone who's self-aware, like, oh, I actually have really good communication skills, so that's why I want to go into sales. Or, oh, I actually have really good analytical skills, so maybe I want to go to supply chain, or I enjoy working in like on the ground, or sa planta, in a plant, so that's why I want to do this, I want to do that. So you also need to already know what are the skills that you have on hand? So that's number one. And what are the skills that you still want to learn, or what are the things that you want to be exposed to, right? So the next is please share your experience during your internship and school projects and organizations. So we know it's already on your paper, but we usually ask further questions about it. So for instance, like hey, it's written on your CV na parang oh I made like a charity event in like a school, like a fundraiser thing. So we ask you about oh why did you choose this sort of program? So we also want to know like your motivation behind it. How did you get to that idea? So really more on picking your brains as to okay what are your interests, right? Or why did you sign up for this project, or why did you sign up for this organization? And when you did sign up and when you joined, what was your impact there? Like what did you bring to the table, right? So again, keep in mind the STAR acronym as well that Lance shared earlier. Next is okay. What are the biggest achievements slash highlights of your experiences so far? So obviously, the reason why you want to highlight this is because it's something good. It's something that you're proud of, and you want to showcase this to whoever you're talking to. But one of the things as well that we ask you in relation to this question is the next question, right? Where tell me about a time where you experienced a setback. So it's usually in the same line of questioning, like what are your achievements and what are your major setbacks, right? It's because you don't go through something like you don't go through like you don't finish a project, you don't finish a course without having any setback. I highly doubt that you didn't encounter any problem throughout what you're doing right now, right? So always be prepared. Like, okay, what was the problem that you encountered, or what was the challenge, and how did you overcome it, right? So keep that in mind as well. Next is if I were to ask your manager or a peer, how would they describe you? So this is a very interesting question that I don't think a lot of people ask, but I do ask when I interview someone is because it's also related to self awareness. Like you're so aware of who you are, right? But again, you work with many people, right? So I think this is very timely as well because at Unilever right now, so we have what we call like feedback season. So it's closing. It's the year is closing, so performance appraisals are closing. So we have EOY or end of year conversation. So feedback is really important. So I sent out feedback questions to all of the people that I work with, like, hey, what are the good things about me that you like, or what are the things that I have to improve on pa. And similarly to Lance, I also gave him feedback and he also gave me feedback back and forth. So it's really important to know how your peers see you as well. So you also know what are the key strengths that you have that you may not even know. Or ask someone like, okay, well, what are the other things that I could improve on? So this might be a question that would come up in an interview. So regardless if it's with Unilever or not. So yeah, try to ask this question maybe like within your org or within your thesis mates or whatever project that you're working on. Just ask for feedback from other people as well. And yeah, last is actually this is one of my favorite questions. If you receive multiple job offers, how would you weigh your options? Or what are the things that you would consider before accepting? So this is really a question of motivation and like what really pushes you, right? Why do you want Unilever? So it's obvious, like yeah, you may want the money, or you may want the company name, etc., etc. But like, what else? Is it because of the location of the organization or the working conditions, or do you have friends who work for us? So it's basically we know also what motivates you, right? Okay, so just moving on. Sorry, Lance, could you help me with this slide? Yeah, so just to wrap it up, so after the interview, you've gone through all of that. You can breathe now. You can have the sigh of relief. So number one is keep your lines open, both your mobile and your email. And if you have not, please double check your resumes right now that you've actually inputted the correct contact details, because we've gone through a lot of resumes na maling spelling, kulang ng number, or kulang ng letter. So we can't contact you. So please do double, triple check. Second is follow up, usually within 2 weeks, either on LinkedIn or via email or wherever you applied. You can freely write an email to your HR representatives or other interviewers. It could be just a thank you email, which a lot of people are doing now, but it's not required, but it's a good touch. And yeah, you can also ask for follow up then. And again, lastly, don't be discouraged if you don't get the role. I mean, I've been to interviews where they didn't pick me, and it's fine. I think everything happens naman for a reason. So there are better opportunities out there, but better for you as to where you are right now. So don't be discouraged and just keep on trying. Yup. Yeah, I think that wraps up our presentation. The last slide is our contact details actually. Tama ba? If I'm not
Yes, follow
mistaken.
us on
Yeah. So
LinkedIn.
that's me. You can just add us on LinkedIn. So that's me there and Lance. And we have a third member actually who is not in the call right now, but James, who is also one of my talent advisors. So yeah, if you have further questions or any questions that we cannot cover during the session, feel free to just shoot us a message or connect with us on LinkedIn. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Anything to add, Lance?
None from me. So yep, again, just reiterating what Angel has mentioned. So if you guys have any questions, if anyone has any questions, just feel free to reach us through LinkedIn anytime. So maybe we can start there, and then who knows, baka we might meet each other someday, no? Dito naman at our company, hopefully. But yep,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
yep, thank you so much, and
Yeah.
good luck for
Thanks.
those
Thanks.
looking for jobs right now. So good luck, and we wish you all the best. Wow, but yes.
Yep. Do we have time for a bit of Q&A or yeah?
Thank you so much for that, Miss Amik and Mr. Gernale. We are very sure that the tips we learned from you today will come in handy in acing our job interviews and bringing us closer to our dream careers. So, how's everyone after our interview 101 talk? Please stick around because we still have our Q&A session after this. This event wouldn't be possible without our company partners. Career Development Month 2020 is co-presented by UP Capes and Encompass in partnership with Accenture, Analog Devices, JPMorgan Chase Company, Maxim Integrated, Mondele Philippines, Nestle Philippines, Texas Instruments Philippines Incorporated, and Unilever Philippines. We will now be having our Q&A session. Our first question is fluency in speaking English really a big advantage in interviews? If I can express myself better in Taglish and still sound professional, would that be to my disadvantage?
I can start, Lance, and you can just add if there's anything that I missed. So, in my opinion, I don't think it's to your disadvantage, right? But you have to remember who are you talking to. Like especially with all of the companies that you mentioned, these are mostly international companies or multinational companies. So you might be speaking to a non-Filipino speaker. So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? And if the interviewer, let's say I myself, I usually do my interviews in English, which is the typical language that we use. But if you would tell me, it's like, hi, I think I would better express myself in Taglish, etc., etc. So you could just give me a warning that okay, and I would gladly welcome you speaking in Taglish. So and it's pretty bad to hear as well. I badly put I don't want to put anyone down, but you quote unquote trying hard to like be fluent. I mean, wherever you're comfortable, wherever you can express yourselves better, then go. Yeah.
Agree with Angel, and apart from knowing who you're talking to, maybe check on the role as well. If your role requires you to let's say maybe your role, you're partnering with international people, so maybe that's one thing to keep in mind as well. So apart from be wary of your audience or your interviewer, I guess it's also to be wary of your role. But going back, I would agree with Angel. So wag nang mag-try hard. So it might be to your disadvantage nga pag nag-try hard ka pa. So just
Yeah.
be comfortable. Yep. And then like yun naman, I think some interviews are mixed na rin naman ngayon. There are those interviews that are in Taglish. Ako honestly, I do interviews in Taglish. Some roles at iFandel are purely in Tagalog naman. So really depends on the role, I guess. But yep,
Yeah.
just let us know if what language you're comfortable in, if where you can freely express yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Our next question is: what are some common mistakes you see from fresh graduates during their job interviews? Are there any generic responses that interviewers do not like hearing?
Let me think.
Good question.
Anything that comes to mind to you, Lance? Like what are
For me, maybe not more of a question, but more on how you express yourself, I guess. So, when your interviewer asks you something, wag naman yung isang tanong isang sagot. So, build on what you've said. So, let's say parang what let's say sige example. So, how was your internship with let's say example with Unilever. So, wag naman yung sagot lang is it was okay, I had fun. Okay, sige. So, how? So, always build on what you've answered. So, parang if you can parang share more or deep dive on your answers, do it na. Parang don't wait for the interviewer to deep dive for you. So if you can share already, if you can probe within yourself already, please do it na rin. So wag naman yung isang tanong, isang sagot lang.
Yeah, good point. Pero for me, one of my pet peeves really is, or one of the things that graduates don't really do is to research about the company. That's like a huge pet peeve for me. Like you come in, you interview for Unilever, and then you mention like a different product. And I'm like, that's not ours. So it could be an honest mistake, but hopefully that's something that you can prep. Yeah, and I'm thinking like, what are the generic answers talaga? Meron pa ba these days? I think students now are more equipped as to before because we have these sort of sessions. But yeah, I don't think there are generic answers. Yeah. Naalala ko, sorry, one of the things that when you ask the question, the things that parang one of my pet peeves is they don't research about the company. And second is they send a lot of wrong messages to me na parang for other companies. I'm like, oh, so you're
Yep.
interviewing there as well, which is fine. But I mean, I'm not your contact person there. Or like they would send personal messages to me, which is just so funny. Like I usually laugh it off. Pero parang let's be careful, guys.
Agree,
Hi
agree.
babe, I'm home. It's like, I'm not your babe, but cool.
Agree with Angel on the second one. So, when you send out your resume, please do check kung sino yung person and ensure that the company is correct on the email body. So, yep, we've experienced a lot like apply for
Dear
this
Unilab.
company.
It's like, we're not Unilab.
Same acronym UL, but we're not Unilab, we're Unilever. So, yep, always make sure to check the company.
Those are just some examples as well. Which I guess siguro baka copy paste, but like when you copy paste, let's be careful.
Thank you so much for that one.
Yeah.
These are all
We're super
noted.
chill. Like we laugh a lot because we just don't want it to be super formal. Yeah. So I hope you don't mind.
Our next question po. As seasoned recruiters, what are the interview questions that best help you assess which candidates are fit for your company?
So we gave you sample questions earlier, but for me the most important questions are I think the last one. How would you weigh your options if you were given like five really good job offers because it shows you what's your motivation, right? And you can be really honest about that, diba? And second, I guess is how would your peers describe you or your level of self awareness, diba? Because just to share, so I had this interview for a sales role in Cebu. And he was a guy, he was based in Cebu. And it was obvious that he was really well off, diba? Na parang, okay, he didn't need this job. But when we asked him, so what are, like, in your opinion, what do you think other people think of you? Like, what do they see when they see you or when they talk to you? And he's like, oh, people usually think I'm mayabang. But I'm actually not mayabang. It's just his demeanor, right? And true enough, when we went around, because he was a sales guy, so I was like, hey, do you know this guy? Like, what's your feedback about him? They also said that, oh yeah, first impression was he was really mayabang, but when we really got to talk to him, hindi naman pala. So I think that level of self-awareness for me is really important. And second is you're clear with your motivations. Like, why do you actually want this? That's for me. I don't know about you guys.
Agree. Number one would be motivation, and for the second one for me, I think it's how you for me it's how you turn your setbacks into something good. So when ask like what Angel mentioned, so what were the setbacks that you faced along the way? So it's more on how were you able to turn those setbacks around. So it shows your resiliency and your agility and how your eagerness to learn as well. So yep, that's for me.
Thank you so much po. Very insightful. Our next question is, how can one handle a high stress interview? Do you have any strategies or tips?
High stress interview. Why are
Sorry,
you
I'm
laughing,
laughing.
Lance?
Hindi kasi,
Did you, naalala mo ba ako?
hindi naman. Parang grabe naman yung high stress grabe yung high stress interview mo.
Maybe when the interviewer asks a lot of questions. So we discussed the star methodology kanina. So usually when you go to interviews with managers, let's say again sales, let's use sales as an example. So some managers kasi would really deep dive into their questions na parang hindi siya medyo high level, like, oh, what's your motivation? What were the products that you sold? It's really more on, number one, what are your deliverables? How did they measure your level of success? How do you say that you're successful? Number two, how did you deliver? So there's a lot of technicality into it. So our advice really is, we already said it before, that number one, know your resume, right? So know what are the details that you put down there and prepare for all of the answers, diba? So if you're, and again, if you don't know the answer, we really, really recommend that don't try to fake it, right? So if we ask you, let's say, an engineering term and you honestly don't know what it is, then there's really no point in trying to fake it, because it will really show, right? So number one, just prepare what you know, what you've done so far, and all of the supporting information that you might have. So let's say if it's during your internship, so oh, what are the things that you did during your internship? How was your performance measured? What were your deliverables? So it may sound highly stressful because there's just a lot of questions and a lot of line of questioning, I guess. But I really doubt that you will feel stressed because the interviewer is a bit mean, and like that sense of stressful. And if ever you felt that way during an interview, that's a very unprofessional thing to happen. Okay, so just letting you know. So yeah, stressful in terms of so many questions, but not because they're mean to you. So I hope that helps as well. Yeah, go on lang, Lance. If there's anything you
And
want to add.
I guess for you to help rin on the situation, just take it one question at a time. So yep, agree with Angel on that one. So yun din yung naisip ko na stressful kasi maraming questions. Actually kaya natatawa ako kasi I was thinking, oh, stressful in what way? Are they mean? Are there a lot of questions? But yep, usually naman what happens naman is the volume of questions that goes in, and then agreeing nga dun on part na parang na what were your deliverables, what were the targets, what were the setbacks. So parang they all ask it in one go. So just take it one question at a time. And again, review your resume as I've mentioned earlier. While you write down your resume, do review as well. Do take a reflection on what were your accomplishments. You can also highlight your accomplishments, by the way, on your resume. So at least the interviewer can also read it.
Thank you so much, po, for your answer. Our next question is, how soon should one follow up with the interviewer after the interview?
Yeah, I think we already discussed that in the slides. So I think 2 weeks is a good
2 weeks. Yep, 2 weeks.
Okay, po. Our next question is, how do you market yourself as capable for the position when you don't have the experience but have strong knowledge acquired from seminars, as well as profound interest in the role you are applying for?
Okay, so I think that's a really good question. So of course, as fresh graduates, there's this recurring joke, diba? Like, okay, you want a fresh graduate with 10 years of experience. That's just impossible. I know there are a lot of memes going around about that. So, since you're already interested with the role, right? You can express your interest. Why are you interested with the role? But in terms of the skills, so when you read the job description, there will be like a list of skills naman that will be available to you there. So you can also say like, oh, if it's a project management role or if the role requires project management, you can cite some examples from your from your experiences in school. Like, oh, these are the sort of projects I handled. These are the steps that I took. Etc. Etc. So we call that transferable skills, right? And of course, when you're a fresh graduate naman or a new graduate, you apply for not naman entry level roles, but you apply for roles that are not very high level, right? Who needs like XXX years of experience as well. So that's why it's important for you to be self aware of what are the things that you've already done, what are your interests, what are the things that you can improve on. So you can also share that with whoever you're talking to or whoever is interviewing you. Yun.
Thank you so much, Miss Amik. Sir Lance, you have something to say po?
Maybe just a bit of add lang din because Angel really covered it perfectly. So I guess you can also share that your passion more lies onto this role. So maybe this is the role that you wanted to, your passion is in here. You've taken up seminars regarding this let's say role, 'di ba? So let's say yun nga, you're an engineering graduate but baka lang you're more interested in sales, 'di ba? And you've attended seminars, you've done trainings that raises more into sales. So you can always put it that way naman that you've been honing yourself and this is one of your passions, I guess, as well.
Thank you so much po. Our next question is it a good idea to also bring up some of your weaknesses during the interview? Are interviewers impressed by stating how you can improve on your weaknesses?
Short answer is
Yeah.
oo naman.
No one's perfect. I mean,
Oo.
we don't expect anyone to be perfect. Like ako din in land. So that's why we have feedback sessions because we know we're not perfect. There are things that we can improve on. So also having that humility,
Agree.
and that being candid that yeah, I'm not very good. Let's say with speaking English. Sige, let's use that as an example. So I mean that's fine. Okay. It's not a deal breaker naman if you show vulnerability, which is great. Yeah, again, we appreciate the humility and the self-awareness that you have.
Thank you so much, Miss Amik. Sir Lance, you have something to add po?
Okay, okay. Yep, ayun nga again. It's humility and going back to what Angel has mentioned, self-awareness. So, plus points yun, self-awareness. Self-aware, plus points yun.
Thank you so much po. Our next question is there a way of gauging how I am doing during an interview?
You can ask, because I think some interviewers, like myself, I don't have very much showy expression during my interviews. Like sometimes I have a poker face, which makes people think na okay, I'm bored. But sometimes it's just my face. So I think at the end of the interview, I appreciate it if people ask, so how did I do? How did you how did you find the interview? What are the things that I could have answered better? So I would appreciate that. Siguro gauging, I wouldn't recommend it. Kasi if you're just assuming, gauging equals assuming, di ba? So it's just better to ask for you to get the right feedback that you need.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for that po. Sir Lance, you have something to add po?
And you can, ano naman not during the interview, I guess, but you can always ask naman after the interview, and how did you do? How did you do in the interview? You can also use that as feedback on going to your next interview. So, yep. Wag, I guess I would agree with Angel. Wag naman during, no? But you can always ask naman after. Because
Alright.
yun nga, some are not like what Angel mentioned, siya poker face. And ako naman very expressive naman kasi ako and very animated. So, di ba?
Yeah.
So
We're
it
the
really
total
depends on the
opposites.
interview. Yup. So better to ask after the interview. That would be a good way to get feedback as well.
Thank you so much for that po. And now for our last question. Was there an interview you conducted before that stood out for you or was very memorable? What can we learn from that interviewee that can help us make a memorable interview?
You can start last. I can see your expression.
Sige. Hindi, naglo-look back lang din ako. Sige, sige. So, I hope this is a good example, no? Kasi actually, the interview that I remembered on top of mind is actually from a fresh grad. This is actually for the EFLP. This is actually for the EFLP role. So, I was really impressed with this student. How much he knows about our company. He knows our sustainable living plan. He knows about what the functions of Unilever has. So very talagang nag-research, alam kabisado talaga. Di man kabisado na, but alam talaga lahat. So I was really impressed. Parang at that age, parang he knows a lot about the company already. And he came in really prepared. And then when I've asked him during his internships, no, uh, na-share niya nga rin na he decided to take on these internships kasi these, just to share, yung internship that he took was not really related to his course. So it was more of what he mentioned it nga was more of a passion internship, hence I used that word kanina. So but I was really impressed kasi that's yun yung gusto niyang career goal eh. Parang he wanted to start on that part na parang hindi dahil I graduated from this course, I have to be in this work. So he wanted to widen his horizons, and hence he did it as early as he was studying, took on different internships. So parang nakatatlo, apat yata na internships. So marami. So very impressive. I was surprised talaga on how yun nga, how prepared he was and how he was passionate, and I guess how much he wanted to get that certain role nga rin. So, ayun. Yep, that's top of mind. Impressive for me.
For me naman, sorry, the one thing that got in my head is not a very good experience. So since Lance gave a very positive response, for me naman siguro something that you shouldn't do. So again, an interview is still, a conversation for you to sort of tell the people about yourself, etc., etc. But there's that level of being comfortable versus being unprofessional. Okay. So I had this interview. This was not in Unilever, so this was way back. And parang the way the candidate spoke to me was parang we were so close na parang he would make inappropriate jokes, ganyan. Like, oh, kamukha mo si ganito, ganyan, etc., etc. It was like the first 5 minutes of our conversation. So parang it was a bit awkward. And I felt a bit off na parang, okay, why are we starting the conversation like this? So again, it's normal to be friendly, but there's that fine line between just being unprofessional and being friendly, right? So just keep that in mind.
Thank you so much again, Ms. Amik and Mr. Gernale, for the very insightful session. All right, so a big thank you again to our speakers for today's talk. We greatly appreciate your time to talk about interviews, a job hunting essential. We look forward to applying what you just taught us in our own career journey. And as a token of our gratitude, we hereby present our certificates of appreciation. UP Capes presents the certificates of appreciation to Ms. Amik and Mr. Gernale for imparting their valuable insights and inspirations as our guest speakers for the Interview 101 talk of the Career Development Month given this 23rd day of November 2020. Again, thank you to our speakers for imparting your knowledge on interviews.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that officially concludes our session for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And this event wouldn't be possible without our company partners. Career Development Month 2020 is co presented by UP Capes and Encompass in partnership with Accenture, Analog Devices, JPMorgan Chase Company, Maxim Integrated, Mondele Philippines, Nestle Philippines, Texas Instruments Philippines Incorporated, and Unilever Philippines. A big thank you to everyone for attending Career Development Month 2020. We hope to see you guys in the next UP Capes events. And once again, I am Doreen and have a great week ahead. Bye!